So do you want to know what the quick and easy way to make money is called? A scam. Stop falling for it. Looking for shortcuts and ways to cut corners instead of doing the required work is the most expensive business plan on the planet. We've all done it, and we've all paid the price, and not just once. Every single person listening right now has fallen for it multiple times, including me. We are humans with giant egos, and when an expert marketer knows how to push those greed-based buttons within us, we often bite. Who wouldn't want something that seems like such little work and effort in exchange for huge results and rewards? Maybe you've bought the supplement helping us gain muscle and lose fat in just 30 days. You bought the course that would show you exactly how to step by step go viral with Instagram Reels and end up making $25,000 a month just from sitting on your couch. Maybe like me, you've hired the Facebook ads team and SEO experts thinking, this is what's going to triple my sales and audience without me doing more work. Or have joined a group coaching program saying, once I learn the energetics, yes, spelled with an X, of money and how to magically collapse time, everything will manifest at rapid speed. And all I have to do is be in a state where I can shift from the 3D to the 4D to the 27D, and everything will appear, says Farah the fantasy marketer. It all typically ends the same way, in regret, disappointment, and shame. The hard truth that many people don't want to believe is true, because it's not cute, is to get big results, whether that be cash, clients, success, a super fit body, speaking a new language fluently, or growing a highly engaged social media following, requires a big energy exchange. If you're tired of hearing the same old basic mindset and motivational fluff talk, you've come to the right show. Welcome to Project Me with Tiffany Carter, the podcast, where we dish on everything from managing that crazy brain of yours to manifesting abundance to my straightforward, actionable steps that will make you major money online. Now, I'm not your typical multimillionaire entrepreneur. It takes a small village to keep my anxiety and depression in check. I'm inherently disorganized with an intense obsession with office supplies. Your girl here is a digital marketing content expert who's generated over $200 million in sales. I promise by tuning in twice a week, you will get a much needed refreshing dose of truth, clarity, and cash-making advice. Now let's get to it. What up, my people, my posse, my fellow crazies? I'm your host, Tiffany Carter, and today's episode is dedicated to my fellow multi-passionate creative entrepreneurs and how you make money when you identify as someone like this. And even if you don't identify specifically like this, there's going to be some mic drop moments for you to hear as well. The reason I specifically am honing in this category is I've noticed that people who are highly creative, they're into a lot of things, they have a lot of interests, they like talking about different subjects. There's a common thread I've seen after coaching hundreds of thousands of people, whether it's at live events, one-on-one, in any of my programs, my mastermind, my posse membership. I find it so fascinating to weave together what those common threads are, because then I can speak to those and help you move through some of those barriers that are specifically unique to you and how you're wired. And it's really fascinating. So when I say multi-passionate and then creative, really what we're saying is you have such a zest and a fascination with quite a few things, and they can all seem really random, and you get shiny object syndrome. A lot of you even may have diagnosed ADHD, or you think that you do, because it's very difficult for you to stay focused. You have all these amazing thoughts and ideas and conceptions and even names of programs and stuff that you want to do, yet not much of it gets done, if any at all. If you were remodeling a house, you would have 25 unfinished projects going on in that house. And then it makes you feel like crap. Then you're hard on yourself and you're frustrated. And then you start thinking, God, maybe I'm not wired or cut out to be an inventor, to be a creator, to be a business owner, to make money doing something that I love, because I can't focus long enough. I can't seem to be disciplined long enough to follow through and get the tasks done. And then I get so stuck and confused on where I'm supposed to start. And then it all overwhelms me and I get paralyzed. And if I'm nailing this, you better let me know that I'm nailing this. You better take a screenshot of this episode and share it, and share this episode with a fellow self-identified, multi-passionate creative, because they'll really appreciate it. I do notice that much more often, my multi-passionate creatives tend to fall for these shortcut routes and this type of marketing. And it's not because you guys are like trying to be lazy or are entitled or anything like that. It's because you are so much wanting to bring these things to light, bring these things to fruition, bring these ideas to people that you know will help people, that will give people joy, you know will give people healing. And if you just were able to have blank done, or if something was just done for you, or if it was done quick, or if it could just get finished, or if someone could just focus you and tell you exactly how, then you would do it. And then you fall for this stuff, and then you end up buying the stuff, and then you don't have enough accountability or skin in the game, and then you never follow through. So first, let me start out by pointing out what it does take to make freedom level cash doing something you love, whether it's online or in person. Like I said, it does require a big energy exchange. That does not mean exhausting yourself. This is what I mean. You have to dedicate your time consistently, even when you don't feel like it. You have to spend money getting high quality guidance so you don't waste more time or energy, and spend money to have the accountability. If you are not able to be self-accountable, and very few people are capable of doing that and are that disciplined, and my hat's off to you, because I wish I had that. I do not have that. Most people do not. This is why you see even the top performing entrepreneurs, artists, athletes, artists in the world, they all have a team around them. And it's not just because they have money to burn. They know that by having people around them to guide them, to point out blind spots, to keep them on track, to keep them focused, to keep them accountable, is only going to increase their game, increase their output, increase their productivity, increase their results, which is for the greater good of all. You have to do unsexy, tedious work on repeat, which my multi-passionate creatives don't love. You guys like doing the fun stuff. You guys like doing the stuff you like doing, and you really resist all this other stuff. And I totally get it. But part of having a business is you are going to have to do things you don't love doing. And you know how people will say to you, well, you can just outsource the rest. That's a bunch of shit. That is a bunch of shit. If you don't have the, I don't know what term we call it, I guess the privilege or the connections or whatever, where you know major baller business owners. Like, I'm a baller, but I'm like a small baller. And I'm a multimillionaire, but I'm still a small baller. I'm talking like the 100 million plus club type people. I had one as my mentor for 8 years, and I coach these people on other areas of their business, more so like the online digital marketing part. So I've spent a lot of time with these people. And let me tell you, I watch them reading through contracts. Yes, they have a team of lawyers, but it's their signature on there, and they have to review it. Reading through their financials. You want to talk about how boring that is? I freaking hate doing it. But if you don't read through that, the cost factor is high, because that's when people embezzle from you, which I had to learn the hard way. I had an employee steal thousands and thousands of dollars from me because I was avoiding looking at all that stuff. So there's tedious stuff you have to do in every profession. Given I'm in LA, I know a lot of actors. Listen, memorizing scripts, unless you're someone who has like a photographic memory, like you're one of those people, it's very tedious to memorize lines. It's a lot of work. So there's work that has to be done in any and every specialty. Even the people you follow online that seem like, oh my God, they're saying that they only do the things that they love and they've set it up that way and the rest is for people on their team. Well, that's just not true. It's not possible. And it's okay, even though I have to do these unsexy things and these other very successful business owners I'm talking about that have to do them as well, you're not mad at it because it is a small percentage. A majority of your time, you are doing the stuff that you enjoy. But yeah, and especially when you're starting and you don't want to put out the money to hire people up front, some of you are more risk tolerant and you'll hire people up front. You'll spend a lot more money before the money comes in. Others of you are not as risk tolerant. And if you're not, then guess what? Yeah, you're going to have to do more of the stuff that's not fun. But at a certain point, you have to ask yourself, if you're not completing tasks, if you're not doing things that you know are necessary to your business, like growing an email list, sending out the emails, making content, I don't know, if you're not doing this kind of stuff and you keep telling yourself that you need to do it, but you keep putting it off, yet you've not hired someone else to do it, your cost factor is very high. It would actually cost you less in money, time, and energy just by hiring someone, even though up front it looks like that's crazy. I don't have a lot of money coming in yet. I shouldn't pay for this stuff. It's never going to happen if you don't pay someone. This is why I've never edited one podcast episode ever in my life. I don't even know how. I wasn't even going to bother. And before the show made a dime, I hired a podcast producer, a podcast coordinator, and an editor because it would never happen. I'm telling you right now, there would not be one episode. I just know myself. And then I was telling myself I could do social media and promo graphics and shit myself. And so I would spend hours in Canva. And although I kind of found it fun and creative, pretty soon 4 hours went by and it still didn't look that great, if I was being honest. It looked pretty pedestrian. It wasn't that impressive. Still didn't have money coming in and hired that out. If I didn't, it would have never gotten done. If it never gotten done, you wouldn't be listening to me right now. There wouldn't be millions of people listening to this show. This wouldn't be a top 5% show in the entire world now. The cost factor is really high by continuing to tell yourself that lie and by playing cheap with your dreams. Both of my multi-million-dollar businesses weren't built on my highly motivated, high productivity weeks. They were built all on the days when I didn't feel like it and I chose to show up regardless. Same with my clients who've had the most success in working with me. I get asked this a lot. And what is common among the people who are the biggest success stories in working with you? I'm like, they put skin in the game, even when they're scared. They trust the process, they put in the work, and they show up as best they can on any given day. And they're humble, willing, and hungry to learn. And those are the people that I look for in my 2-month private business coaching program, which these applications will be closing soon. They're going to be closed for quite a while as I'm going to be focused on some other projects. So swipe up. The application link is right in the show notes. And if you're at that spot where you're like, no, I know I need this. I'm done messing around. I see what you mean by the cost factor, even though it scares me, right? It is scary to put money on the line, energy on the line, time on the line when you don't have a guarantee the money's coming back. But there are no fucking guarantees. There's no guarantees in the advertising world. There's no guarantees in social media. There's no guarantees in opening a restaurant, having a jewelry line. There's risk. There's no guarantees in you working for the government. There's no guarantees in you working for a teaching institution or you working in corporate America. They can fire you at any time. They can go through reorganization. They can go through bankruptcy. There's absolutely no guarantee there. It just kind of almost feels like there's one, but there's really not. And if you're at that point where you're like, okay, I get it. Enough's enough already. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired of this. I'm sick and tired of myself at this point. Like, I don't want to fall for any more of these things. Let's do the Holy Grail. Let's create a very clear plan, how to execute it, how to get more ideal clients coming to me on repeat and paying me, how to offer stack, how to package offers so your ideal client finds them irresistible and they're excited to actually hand you money for it. Not like, ooh, I don't really want to pay this person, where they gladly hand you money. People gladly hand me their money, even though they're scared. I gladly give my credit card to lots of things. If you've been watching my Instagram stories, I'm sharing my business bank account on there. I mean, not the number, but the dollar amounts. Heavy money's coming in, heavy money's going out. And I gladly do it because I know what the cost factor is of me not doing it. And I also know what I have to gain. I'm stacking the odds in my favor of following through. And that is so important for you to hear as a multi-passionate creative person. What are you doing to stack the odds in your favor that you're going to follow through, that you're going to complete the task, the vision, the project, the program, the course, the event, the book, the podcast, whatever it is you're wanting to create? What are you doing to make sure you show up? Because self-will is not a plan. If you went on the Shark Tank and they're like, okay, so what is your exact execution plan on completing this product line or completing this digital product suite? And then what is also your execution and your dates for your marketing plan? And you came back with, I'm going to use my intuition and intuitively feel it out and time it with the moon. And and other than that, complete self-will. Mark Cuban would laugh his ass off. In fact, I would die to do an Instagram Reel skit with him over this. He'd be like, what? Do you think someone would invest in that? You would sound insane. Like you've lost it. And I'm not saying this to put you down. I'm saying this to wake you up. I can go into self-will easily, especially because I have many years of being an entrepreneur, 15 years, and I've honed and developed a great skill set. So there are a lot of things that I can do myself, but that doesn't mean I should. Just because I can figure out how to do a lot of things doesn't mean I should either, because what is the cost factor? And is that stacking the odds in my favor of me following through, or me getting overwhelmed, distracted, and paralyzed? You see what I'm saying? It's not a good plan, and you mean well, but then it keeps ending up in the same place. So here's what I've noticed really, really works for people who have this kind of wiring where you have these great ideas and you want to do these things and then it doesn't fall through, is you've got to have the accountability. And you may have heard this before and you may be doing a giant eye roll right now. Look at the multi-gajillion dollar corporations in the world. Okay. We can throw shade at like corporate structure and politics and environment, but I'm talking like, let's give some mad props. Okay. To these organizations, because this shit's impressive. And when you look at it, and I'm behind the scenes of a lot of these major corporations for my other business as a high-end consultant. And what they do is they have so many layers of things in place to hold employees accountable. And from C-suite to exec management to middle management to the entry-level employees, there's all these things in place. That's why there are managers, to manage the people, to keep them accountable. There's employee handbooks. It's not just for HR reasons. It's to put boundaries and rules in place. That's why some people are on hourly and there's time cards and you still have to stamp a card. That's why there's certain days you can have off. There's rules around the days off. There's certain time frames where there has to be deliverables on projects. There are certain standards and practices that are set. This keeps people accountable so they show up. Do you think these giant corporations, let's just take like the Hilton Corporation, like something all of us know. Do you really think that their motto is just show up, you know what we hired you to do, and show up and do it. We need these 3 things done, and we do kind of need them done by this date. It's not a hard date, but we kind of need them done, and yeah, just show up and do them. I'm telling you, it doesn't work well. This is why so many of these companies are not liking what happened in the pandemic with people working from home. They saw the productivity rate drastically go down. Why? Accountability. People are more distracted at home. They don't have the accountability of being in the office, that they know their manager's there, that they know their fellow employees can actually see them if they're at their desk, if they're doing something. So what are you structuring for yourself? When you're a solopreneur, you're an entrepreneur, even with a team. My entire team is virtual. My other company, I have people that do come in person, but they don't come all the time. And they work for me. Yeah, they're instructed to like kind of badger me and nag me. Hey, where's this Tiff? Don't forget this Tiff. I've taught them that they can do that, but they're not going to be hardcore with me. I employ them, right? But I have to have things set up to hold myself accountable. And everyone is different. For me, I have to have skin in the game. I have to put real money on the line to where it's enough money where I wouldn't want to waste it. And money is a huge motivator. We all know this. Look at the entire world. It's a major motivator. It's part of the reason you're listening to this podcast. So use that to your advantage and put money on the line. And some people have doing $100 a month for my Posse membership. That's enough of a motivator, right? Based on where they're at. For other people, that's not going to cut it. They've got to work with a high-level business coach like myself, one-on-one, and spend some real significant cash in order to show up, follow through, and treat their business like a business and not like a jobby. And that's where I'm at. That's where I've always been at. That's why even when I wasn't making as much, I always had a one-on-one mentor, if not 2. Of course, a therapist, some sort of like energy type healing work. I had that going on too. Like I was always doing some kind of body work in that way. And then I also hire people on my team, even if some of them were contracted when I started, right? Like hiring people where I know I'm hiring you for a project, like a videographer, an editor, a photographer, someone to do a website, whatever it is. I'm paying you. And if I don't follow through and do my part and give you the stuff, you can't execute your part. And now I've just wasted all that money. And now I look like a fool to the people who I've hired to work for me. That motivates me. So what would keep you accountable? You know, I know when I was trying to get back into working out where all the wheels fell off the bus during the pandemic. At a certain point in the pandemic, I was like, I need help. Like, I'm a gym person. I can't go to the gym. I'm not wearing a fucking mask at the gym. Thank you. Like, I'd pass out. Like, that's not happening. So I hired a private trainer and for 5 days a week. And yes, was it a lot of money? Sure was. What would cost more? My fucking health, mentally and physically and energetically. By not doing that and by continuing to not work out. And then that would bleed into my business and how I show up energetically and with a clear mind and all of that for my business. And then I would lose money over here. That's what I mean by the cost factor. So what is it that you need? Everything is in the show notes. You already resonate with me. You're already here. You already like my style. You can work with me privately. This is the last time for a long time. I only take 6 people at a time. It's by application only. That link is in there. My ProjectME Posse business coaching membership, that is in there. That has a cap on the number of members at a time. So if you go on the page and it says full, then it's full. You can check back every day and see if someone has ended their membership or not, because it's month to month and you can cancel anytime. I don't do any long contracts with that. Just wanted to let you know that. And if you're like, no, I'm going to continue to listen to the show and be in self-will, that's okay too. That's a choice. You're just not in enough pain yet and sick of yourself yet. You will at some point, or you could be that 0.002% of people who absolutely are that insanely disciplined where you don't need to have, and you don't need any outside guidance whatsoever or very little in order to make things happen. I mean, I don't know anyone like this, but I'm sure there's some people out there who exist. And I want to make sure I say this. There is no one that is harder on themselves than a creative, multi-passionate mind. It's unbelievable. It's so hard. Because I know it's so hard to focus. Then you're mad at yourself because you didn't follow through and it's not getting done. And then you look online and all these people seem to be finishing things and you're not finishing things. And then the things that you have finished didn't seem to really work because you really didn't go all in with it. And it becomes so messy. And then you become so hard on yourself and you judge yourself harshly and beat yourself up. And now you're losing twice. That doesn't help you. That doesn't help advance you. That doesn't help you show up more. That doesn't make you more focused. That doesn't make you more disciplined. It doesn't make you more productive. It does the opposite. Just be an acceptance of who you are. All of us have limitations. All of us have flaws. That's what makes us so interesting. That's part of why I fucking love coaching, is working with your unique limitations, your unique gifts, your unique flaws. Because if we don't customize how we grow and build your business based on those, guess what? You won't follow through and do it. You know, it's if someone told me to eat boiled Brussels sprouts and chicken every night because that is what's going to get me really lean. I believe you. That would get me lean. And I would also vomit every single night from the smell of steamed Brussels sprouts because they smell like dirty sweat socks. I mean, let's be honest with Brussels sprouts. There's a reason why they're burnt to shit at restaurants and covered in sauce, because that's the only way that they taste good. So yeah, there are a lot of things out there that do work. There's a lot of things out there that don't work. But what matters is, how do they work for you? How do they feel to you? And if they don't feel good, if they don't feel abundant, if they don't feel supportive, if it doesn't feel right, you're not going to fucking do it. So be an acceptance. This is who I am. These are my limitations. And then things need to be designed and worked around that. How can I best stack the odds in my favor that I'll follow through and have success? And then those are the actions that you take. That's the next step that you take. But we need your minds. We need the multi-passionate creatives and all the incredible stuff that you come up with. You guys are the visionaries. And do I see myself as a visionary? Yes. But I think because I'm such a hardcore Virgo and a strategist, it's like I have the vision. I have the vision of something, but I also have this other side. That's one of my unique talents. But my problem is I get overwhelmed in the weeds of things. I get overwhelmed when I have to review a lot of stuff. I have sticking points too. So that's why I've hired people to help me in those areas. And I set things up in a way to where it has to get done. It's like when you had finals in school. You show up for the final and study for the final or not. There's a consequence. I have to create consequences for myself where I don't like the consequence in order to motivate me to show up, whether that's losing money, whether that's me looking like a fool, whether that's me letting you guys down because I made a public promise to you, whether that's me letting myself down. That one doesn't even work because I can even like con myself with that. Maybe me letting a friend down or a respected mentor down or some external company down. That's the kind of stuff that ends up working for me. And if you're not sure how to be able to set this up for yourself, well, then your next step is to maybe apply to work for me, go inside my Posse business coaching membership. All these types of things are discussed in there. You guys, will you do me a favor? If you love this episode and you love other episodes of mine and you just want to like do a solid and do a good deed for the day, leave me a 5-star review on Apple and or Spotify. Please, for the love of God. This is what keeps the show growing and thriving and what is going to be able to allow me to take it to additional levels and have even more interesting guests on for you. And it feels so good to read these things. It makes me feel like I'm receiving something so beautiful back for all this time, energy, and effort that we put in it over here at the ProjectME team. So take 30 seconds, go do that. Come on over on Instagram at ProjectME with Tiffany or on TikTok and come and say hello, introduce yourself. I love meeting you guys. Wishing you great health, wealth, and worth as always. Love you. If you enjoyed this podcast, please write a 5-star review on iTunes. Not only will this make me super happy, but it will allow more listeners to find our special show. Simply help me help others.